They ignore you, not because you are weak, but because you are predictable. You greet them with warmth. You explain yourself before they even ask. You wait for respect that never comes. And when it does not arrive, you keep giving, hoping, softening. You were trained to believe that kindness earns favor. But here is the truth. They were trained to test kind people. Let that silence settle. You give too much access. You answer too quickly. You over-explain small mistakes, thinking it will prove your good character. It does not. It proves your fear of being misunderstood, and that fear is read as weakness. Influence dies when you show need. Need to be liked. Need to be included. Need to be understood. Those who watch you may smile, but they do not respect you. Not truly. Because respect in the real world is not earned through virtue. It is enforced through presence or absence. You lose influence the moment people know exactly how to get a reaction from you. That is the first death. The second is when they stop fearing the cost of crossing you. Let us begin. If you want influence real, unshakable influence, stop doing these 9 things. Not later, not gradually. Now. First, stop explaining your decisions. Every time you explain, you reopen the door for debate. The powerful do not justify. They declare. You are not obligated to make others feel comfortable with your choices. Be brief, be final, and let them wonder. Second, stop speaking when your emotions are high. Anger, anxiety, desperation, these are not tools. They are tells. And when people see your tells, they learn your weaknesses. Emotional exposure invites psychological warfare. If you must react, do it later, in silence, where they cannot trace it back to you. Third, stop being overly accessible. The more available you are, the less value they place on your presence. You become background noise. Withdraw strategically. Let absence create demand. People respect what they must work to access. Fourth, stop apologizing for things you meant to do. When you apologize for being direct, firm, or strategic, you betray yourself. Never apologize for clarity. Never apologize for protecting your position. Apology, when unnecessary, signals guilt, and guilt invites control. Fifth, stop asking for validation. You think asking, "Is this okay?" builds trust. It does not. It signals self-doubt. It gives others power to shape your path. Decide, then move. Let your certainty be the message. Sixth, stop being consistent in your reactions. Predictability is a weakness. When they know how you respond, they can control the game. Add pauses. Add distance. Break patterns. Be unreadable, not cold unreadable. Seventh, stop trying to prove your loyalty. If they cannot see your loyalty in your silence, in your presence, in your restraint, then they are not looking. And if they are not looking, you owe them nothing. Eighth, stop making people comfortable at your own expense. It is noble to make others feel safe, but it is foolish to do it by shrinking yourself. The moment you dim your power to avoid offending, you declare yourself unworthy of it. Ninth, stop explaining your silence. If they ask, "Why are you so quiet?" let the question hang. You owe them no insight into your mind. Mystery breeds respect. Clarity breeds strategy. Do not teach them with words. Teach them with silence. These 9 patterns kill influence. Not loudly, quietly, over time. One compromise after another, until the people around you forget you ever had power. And worst of all, you forget too. So reverse it. Begin with absence, then become brief, then become strategic, and then become unreadable. They will not tell you when they stop respecting you. There will be no announcement, no obvious moment. Only small shifts. They speak over you. They delay their replies. They test your boundaries softly, then openly. They laugh a little too freely at your expense. And when you finally notice, it is already late. You have trained them to treat you this way. Influence is not about being liked. It is about being known as someone with limits, someone who does not flinch, someone who does not bleed out loud. The truth is this: people do not remember how kind you were. They remember how costly it was to cross you. Your presence must speak for you. Before you even enter a room, there should be a question in the air. How far can I go with this one? And the answer should be unclear. Unclear is power. Mystery is pressure. Pressure shapes behavior. You want people to think twice before they speak freely around you. Not out of fear, but out of calculation. When they must calculate, you are already in control, and you will only reach that state by reversing the habits that broke you. There is a reason the manipulators win. They are not smarter. They are not stronger. They are just colder, more patient, more detached. They do not waste energy hoping for fairness. They study patterns. They wait for reactions. They collect your tells like weapons. When you show need, they see opportunity. When you explain, they see negotiation. When you react emotionally, they know the buttons now work. The most dangerous people in your life will not always scream or threaten. They will charm. They will mirror. They will use intimacy as leverage. And the moment they no longer need you, they will shift. You will feel it before you understand it. And you will wonder if it was always fake. It was not fake. It was conditional. Everything is conditional in this world. Even love, especially loyalty. The only constant is leverage. If you do not want to be disposable, you must become expensive. Not financially, psychologically. People protect what they fear losing. So you must become rare, not in talent, in presence. Do not always answer. Do not always explain. Make them wonder. Let them feel the absence when you are gone. Make your time feel expensive, even if your calendar is empty. Stop trying to prove your worth with words. It never works. Worth is not spoken. It is implied by the way you carry silence. They must feel that if they lose you, something cold will follow. Something final. That is how influence begins. Not with approval, not with praise, but with restraint. Hold your thoughts. Do not interrupt, disrespect. End it with space. Space that stays. They will reach for you, or they will not. Either way, you win. Because silence exposes their intent. If someone disrespects you and nothing changes you, just train them to do it again. The more you explain why it hurt, the more they know where to aim next time. The solution is not confrontation. It is removal. Never teach someone how to treat you twice. The second lesson should be absence. The third should never happen. People understand absence better than words. Words can be twisted, misquoted, forgotten. But absence? Absence is clear. Absence is cold. Absence cannot be debated. Most of your influence is not lost through betrayal. It is lost through tolerating too much. Too many second chances. Too many explanations. Too much hoping they will wake up one day and just understand. They will not, because you trained them not to. But here is the secret. Just as you train them to dismiss you, you can retrain the world to watch their step. It begins with this. Stop giving them your reactions. Start giving them your silence. You must understand this. Silence is not passive. It is surgical. It removes attention from the undeserving. It closes doors without noise. And it leaves them asking questions they are not brave enough to voice. Power is not gained by being loud. It is gained by being felt in your absence. Those who maintain influence do not chase closure. They become closure. When the respect stops, the conversation ends. No warning, no performance. Just space, then silence, then nothing. The weaker mind fears the void. The stronger one uses it. And if you want to change how you are treated, stop managing others' comfort. That is not your role. That is not your mission. Influence dies in the hands of the appeaser. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be respected. Respect comes from discipline, not kindness. Respect comes from unpredictability, not consistency. Respect comes from cost, not conversation. You must become a presence that causes calculation, a presence they cannot read, a presence they cannot place. Because once they think they know you, they will treat you like they own you. That is the fate of the predictable. So, fracture the pattern. Arrive less, speak less, smile less. Withhold answers. Let discomfort linger. And when they lean in, say less than they hoped. The more you withhold, the more power your presence accumulates. This is not manipulation. This is protection. You are not weaponizing silence. You are defending yourself from those who exploit access. You want to be liked. That is natural. But you do not need it. That is discipline. People do not trust what they fully understand. They trust what they must earn. And if they earned nothing, then they trust nothing. Not you, not your loyalty, not your intentions. You were taught to give trust quickly. They were taught to test it immediately. So you gave. They watched. You explained. They learned. You flinched. They smiled. And now, you feel depleted. Not because you are weak, but because you were open with the wrong ones. Let me say this without warmth. You cannot teach loyalty to opportunists. You cannot offer depth to those who want surface. You cannot stay available to those who only show up when they need something. When someone only finds you in their convenience, you must become unavailable by design. This is not cruelty. This is survival. Your time is the currency. Your silence is the vault. Your distance is the proof of value. Withdraw it and watch how quickly they remember your worth. They will accuse you of being cold. They will say you changed. Let them. That is their mind adjusting to the new terms. You no longer serve at the cost of yourself. From this moment forward, operate like a ghost with a crown. Visible only by choice. Heard only by intention. Close to none. Accountable to few. Influence is not built in the open. It is built in the shadows of what you withhold. Say only what must be said. Reveal only what builds advantage. Everything else conceal. Your presence is no longer free. Your thoughts are no longer public. Your kindness is no longer automatic. People must feel that every part of you is earned. That is not arrogance. That is equilibrium. Let them lean in. Let them work. Let them adjust to your new weight. Those who cannot were never meant to hold you anyway. Do not confuse influence with popularity. Popularity is a performance. Influence is a presence. Popularity begs for applause. Influence demands calculation. The popular are used. The influential are respected. Because respect, unlike affection, does not need to be constant. It only needs to be remembered. Let others chase the illusion of being liked by all. You, instead, must become someone who is missed when absent and measured when present. That is the currency of power. Strategic scarcity. They will notice when you stop reaching out. They will notice when your replies slow down. They will ask, "Are you okay?" That is not concern. That is confusion. They are recalibrating the version of you they thought they owned. And when you do speak again, speak slowly. Do not rush to fill silence. Let your words carry weight, not length. A short sentence, spoken with calm finality, carries more authority than an eager monologue. They will lean in, they will wait, they will wonder what you think. That is influence. Not because you forced it, but because you earned it through discipline. To be unpredictable, you must first master emotional neutrality. When people no longer know what triggers you, they lose control of the board. It becomes quiet. Then they start to reveal themselves. You learn more from their confusion than you ever did from their praise. It is in silence that people confess. They confess through impatience, through nervous laughter, through sudden kindness after your absence begins to weigh on them. That is when the mask slips. You are not here to entertain. You are here to observe. You are not here to be studied. You are here to be unreadable. Withdraw your commentary. Withdraw your emotional exposure. Do not react. Observe. When you stop playing the emotional game, you start winning the strategic one. And if someone is reckless with your presence, make them feel your absence like a closed door. Do not knock again. The second time they disrespect you should be the last time they see you unguarded. Never say, "You hurt me." Say nothing. Let them hear the echo of your silence and wonder what it cost. Let them feel the space and realize it is permanent. You do not need them to feel guilt. You need them to feel uncertainty. Guilt can be soothed. Uncertainty lingers. It gnaws. It questions. It replays your restraint over and over. And that is what teaches. If someone can predict your forgiveness, they will abuse it. If someone can predict your presence, they will take it for granted. If someone can predict your weakness, they will weaponize it. So become harder to read, harder to access, harder to shake. That is how influence survives. Not by force, by discipline. And here is the final truth of this section. You will lose people when you make this shift. Let it happen. Loss is not a sign of failure. It is proof that your new boundaries are working, because those who loved your access more than your essence were never with you. They were with what you gave, not with who you are. Now you give less. You mean more. You do not need to announce your transformation. The world will notice by how you stop explaining yourself, by how you stop rushing to fix what others break, by how you choose distance instead of damage control. You do not yell. You disappear. You do not argue. You restructure the terms. You do not seek understanding. You move in silence and let the consequences educate. This is not bitterness. This is precision. To reclaim influence, you must stop thinking like someone who owes others comfort. You owe them nothing but the consequence of how they treat you. And if that consequence is silence, distance, or removal, so be it. The truly powerful do not threaten departure. They leave quietly. And that quiet becomes the loudest thing the other person hears. Here is what happens when you stop explaining yourself. They begin to question every look, every pause, every absence. They project their own guilt into your silence, and they begin to adjust. You do not need to control others to have influence. You only need to control yourself. When you hold your ground without speaking, when you respond without emotion, when you make space without asking permission, you change the shape of every room you walk into. The world teaches you to be pleasant, polished, predictable. But power is never given to the pleasant. It is given to the disciplined. And that means rejecting the urge to be constantly understood. Most people are not trying to understand you. They are trying to disarm you. They ask about your feelings so they can find the wire that triggers them. They ask about your past so they can replicate its pain. They pretend to care so they can predict your moves. When you speak less, you leave nothing to aim at. You do not need to be cold. You need to be unreadable. You need to speak just enough to shift the pressure. And then stop mid-thought, mid-sentence, mid-conversation, and let them feel the gap. Let silence become your signal. Let pause become your punctuation. Let distance do your discipline for you. If you are always available, always responsive, always willing to explain, you become flat. Flat people are easy to press and easy to forget. To gain influence, become textured. Sometimes open, sometimes closed, sometimes warm, sometimes distant, but always in control. Let others wonder which version of you they will meet. Let them adapt to you, not the other way around. You will notice a shift. They will speak more carefully. They will wait for your reaction instead of expecting it. They will hesitate before crossing a line that once had no cost. This is not fear. This is adjustment. They are adjusting to your new absence of weakness, to your new refusal to perform, to your new silence, which now speaks more clearly than your old words ever did. You do not fix what others break. You leave it broken, and you leave them alone with the ruin. Because if you repair every offense, they will never feel the weight of their actions. And if they never feel weight, they never learn limits. Let silence be your limit. Let distance be your answer. Let composure be your weapon. That is how influence begins to build again. Not loudly, not instantly, but unshakably. There is a moment when everything shifts. Not for them, for you. It is quiet, cold, not dramatic. You simply stop needing to be understood. And in that stillness, you begin to become dangerous. Because nothing is more powerful than a person who does not explain. A person who does not chase. A person who does not tremble when misunderstood. You become something rare, not because of what you say, but because of what you withhold. The game changes the day you decide not to participate emotionally. When you stop feeding reactions. When you stop offering clarity to the unworthy. When your silence becomes selective, not passive. Suddenly, the same people who dismissed you begin to notice your absence. They feel it not in their ego, but in their control. They cannot predict you. They cannot access you. And slowly, they begin to lose their grip. Understand this. In a world addicted to attention, withholding yours becomes a form of control. You do not rage. You pause. You do not beg. You vanish. You do not argue. You remove the stage. That is real influence. Not visible, not loud, but undeniable. It is not your job to fix how they see you. It is your job to protect the version of you that never needed their permission. And if your silence feels heavy good, let it weigh on them. Let it shape their memory of you. Because influence is not about being present. It is about being felt. Even when you are gone, you were not born to beg for decency. You were not shaped by weakness. You were broken in places that taught you how to become unreadable, not fragile. Use that. Let your stillness carry memory. Let your absence carry consequence. Let your words, when finally spoken, carry weight. Because when you are silent long enough, they begin to talk to their own guilt. They fill in the blanks with their own stories. And often that hurts more than anything you could have said. That is how the wise remain powerful. They do not rush the lesson. They let silence teach it. Now ask yourself, are you still explaining? Still trying to be understood by those who benefit from misunderstanding you? If so, stop. Walk away from that version of yourself. The one who begged, who chased, who overgave. That version died the moment you learned the price of being too accessible. From now on, no explanations. No emotional exposure. No performance. You listen. You watch. You measure. You speak only to move pieces. You act only when it alters outcomes. You stay silent when it forces others to carry the weight of your absence. That is how you become respected. Not all at once, but relentlessly. And when they ask what happened to you, do not answer. Let the question hang. Let your new discipline echo. Let your silence respond with the coldness of someone who no longer plays the game emotionally. They will either rise to meet your new standard, or they will vanish beneath it. Either way, you do not lose. Because from now on, you are not here to be liked. You are here to be unmoved, unreadable, undeniable. That is how influence is not just gained, but kept. Share this with someone who needs to hear it.